Hi. I have grown a little more in my understanding of triaxial weaving, kagome. I've been doing this for a while. Every time I do, I learn something new. And just yesterday, when I wove this, was the first time I effectively used one of these straw many eyes as a frame for weaving, and it's perfect, turns out. Who would have thunk? And I thought I'd share just a little of that with y'all. So I've already come to the place where the actual weaving commences, and I'll just get everyone up to speed on how I did that. So first I went around with one string around the perimeter here, the circumference of my hex, essentially going like coming here, going around the straw, the finger, and then picking up the line from inside, like that. Right? I went around the whole thing with that, with regular steps, with like 7 knots for every finger, because then it's 6 steps, 6 intervals. And those are what I'm using for the anchor points of the weave. So that's what happened on the outside here. Just went around the whole thing with that string. And next I took another string and went from one corner here and picked up one of these loops of the first string. And the big thing I hope I learned since yesterday, it's the thing I'm trying for change today, but it's also something that I reason is gonna make a difference from experience. The main thing I'm trying for new this time is that I've went from the outside in on one side here, like that, and on the other hand I went from the inside out. I went all the way back and forth to the halfway point, turned the thing around and continued with the same pattern, going in on one hand, coming out on the other. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing with these first 2 layers. Somewhere on the web there's a site that says that the 3 layers of the kagome are warp, wook and weft. So these would be warp and wook, and the weft is what's coming next. So I'm currently here with my knotting, webbing, netting needle, I don't know. Yeah. And I'm gonna continue the same exact pattern that I've done for the other 2 layers, except now it's gonna be weaving. So when I go across here, I'll pick up the threads along the way, weaving in and out and around the whole thing. So let's perhaps, looks like we go under these. This is funky. This is my left hand side. I'm going to turn it around this way, that's better. Okay, now it's going to be mirrored for you, but you know, go figure. Try it for yourself to find which way is good. So I'm going to go pick up the bottom layer. I'm going just Oh, and I need to make sure that I do not turn them over. The sequence is somewhat relevant, so I'll make sure that I'm passing the lines as they go and not have them twisted. So I'm just gonna follow this and make little crosses here, which are really triangulation coming into play. And the first direction, the first way over is going to be a little awkward because I'm sorting things out, but this is going to go a lot easier in time. And I'm sorry that I'm not going to comment on precisely what I'm doing right now. It's just the same thing all the time. It's kind of easier to do while not trying to explain it. And I think that's good. It looks good. So I'm basically going through and sequentially picking up these lines as they go, as they come and go. Always jumping over the top layer and diving under the bottom. And that's that. And here I'll follow the pattern I had before, so I'm going that's a curious case because now I'm upside down. I used to have it this way, and then I would go from the outside in, like that, and do not go through this loop. I tried that a couple times. It's better to go next to it. Okay, and then we turn the other way around. And now it's going on a lot easier already because the things have begun to sort out. And as I'm passing through, following the same exact pattern of jumping over the top layer and diving under the bottom. That's basically what this whole process of weaving looks like. And what comes out of it. Looking funny. Yeah, I mean, this is again the first time I'm trying it this way around, and I'll see how I finish it off in the end. But one can see these little stars everywhere. So that's what kagome looks like in general. It's an omnitriangulated pattern of weaving space-time, and it's self-sustaining, and it's very much not a symbol that is meant to divide people, but if I pick up 6 of these, this is another way of doing the same weave. I'm doing a triangle here, and I go around and make sure always to follow the pattern of under over. So this direction, that's one direction, is always going under these and over these. Like so. And the moment before it's coming together is the one where it's most likely to fly apart. And once every member is in place, the thing suddenly becomes one, in synergy. And for a long time people have been doing harm to one another, abusing this pattern as a symbol in one way or another. As we currently witness, there's a whole monocultural ideology on the rampant right now, based on this pattern, and supposedly, or at least in the image of this pattern. But what they forgot a long time ago is that this is actually not a symbol, but a living pattern of weave that is meant to omni-accommodate life, meaning giving place to life as it goes and grows. As it grows, there's more niches for life to take place. And it is indeed expansive and integral and integrating to complementarities. And as I'm weaving this, my prayer is that people will learn and see, hopefully rather soon, that rather than thinking of this as a symbol of disintegration and disintegrity, that's the same word, isn't it? Rather than seeing this as a symbol for a monoculture of one kind or another, recognizing that it actually is a weave. It's the very weave of space-time, the weave of life, fabric of life. And that, knowing that is really good. I think it helps me a lot every day with the things that I need, the things that I do. And it's a beautiful thing to figure out along the way. Learning by doing, and learning by mistaking most of the time. And whether it is a way of weaving a fabric, as I'm doing right now, or weaving a house. This whole thing could be a house if it was bigger. Yeah, it's a beautiful practice, and I think it's worthwhile, hence my sharing of it now. go. And as I go, you can see how out of nowhere, that's nowhere with a K, suddenly these stars emerge, and they are intimately related to the stars we see in the night sky, those surrounding us every which way. And if we weren't brought up in the mindset of this civilization that I've talked too much about already, the geometry of separation, of rulers and dividers, rather than compassion, compass and lines of life and relationship. You know, if we weren't so caught up in that frame of mind, then this would probably be something quite a lot of people wouldn't be familiar with. And I wouldn't mind if I found that actually there's others doing it and I can learn a few of their tricks. Because as of now, a lot of what I do, I learn my own way. But the more people take this to heart and find out their own about this, the more we can share that growing body of knowledge, the knowledge of the Tao, of the whole, of the animate structuring of being, universe. Well, as I'm going on and continuing this whole thing will fall more and more into place. There's going to be a lot of stars. And while there's still a lot of play in here for moving, and I wouldn't, wouldn't be surprised if it kept being quite dynamic. But in the end, it might turn out a lot like this, which is the piece I wove yesterday. And while every little bit about it is still dynamic and changeable, the overall thing, even though the sides are, I would say, less than optimal still, this is a nice piece of fabric, and the way this is woven, this triaxial weave, is very extraordinary given our exhaustive familiarity with biaxial weave, so two directions. That's most of our fabric that has two directions out of three, arguably, and those two are having different qualities. One is the warp and the other is the weft, and we call them Kettfäden and Schussfäden in German. Kette is the chain and the Schuss is the shot going through, shot through. But that isn't true for this weave. This is triaxial, so there isn't that distinction between the directions. All directions are equal. And there's actually room for 3 more layers of this interwoven. That's also nice. But this behaves very differently from the kinds of fabrics we're commonly used to, because it's, I think there's a word, something like isotropism or something like that. The way that it behaves when I pull on it, there is no, this way is one, that way is the other, and the third one is the third, and each one has a different quality to it, but every which way I turn and tack on it, it's just yeah, it's just taking that very relaxed and equal. I'm having a lack of words. You know what? I'm gonna return to weaving just a couple more minutes and share that with you without speaking, and then we'll call that a day. And if you want to see how this turned out, after all, perhaps I'll post something either on the YouTubes or the Instagrams. Here's me not talking. Let's not talk.